Who's right? Who's wrong? You decide. Hash it out with Frank Garay and Brian Stevens.
Hello, my name is Brian Stevens.
And I'm Frank Garay.
And today we're going to hash out the different licensing requirements for loan officers depending on where you hang your hat.
Right.
Some people have to go through a more strenuous licensing process,
Yes.
and other people can simply go ahead and register.
Correct.
I happen to be of the opinion that having different requirements for different loan officers is ridiculous, and Frank...
I think that it's fine.
Okay.
I do. I believe that on the banking side of things, having worked at a bank before, understanding what the banks do as far as training their people is concerned, as far as keeping tabs on what their people are doing, is much more stringent, much more in control of what's going on. I get the fact that they only need to be registered at NMLS. I don't think that it's necessary for them to go through all that continuing education or anything like that. I happen to agree with this particular policy.
So you do think it's better to require more of some than others? Fundamentally.
I guess you could...
Principally.
That's not exactly what I'm saying. I guess you could view it that way, but yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay, here's the problem. Lending over the past 7 or 8 years since we saw Dodd-Frank and its implementation has always talked about, out of one corner of their mouth, leveling the playing field for all lenders.
Okay.
But what they're actually doing out of the other side of their mouth is they're requiring different things from different lenders. Now, I'll tell you this, having to take a test, an ethics test, which, by the way, is really stupid. Everybody could pass this thing. Having somebody else take a test does not necessarily put them in harm's way or hinder them in terms of what they're doing, but what they're doing is they're just simply creating more roadblocks that are absolutely unnecessary. So if we're going to speak out of this side of our mouth and we're going to say it's a level playing field for all, this is a symptom of larger problems, then gosh darn it, we need to do that.
No, it's not.
What's good for one is good for everybody.
No, it's not. Because on the banking side of things, they are so much more highly regulated. Okay.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are. And
No,
the government has. Let's put it this way: if there's a situation that goes wrong on a bank level, a depository bank level, there are deep pockets over there, and there are fines that are going to be paid that are not going to be able to come out of the flighty, non-depository mortgage banker. And let me finish here. So on the banking side of things, they have a lot more control over what's going on within the ranks of their salespeople than does the non-depository mortgage banker.
Okay,
so there's a difference.
Hold on.
There's a difference in the.
Because the banks have more at stake. What you're telling me is that asking me a question on a test that I have to pass, asking me if it's okay to redline is a good solution to the problems that you have. I'm not denying that banks have a little bit more at play right now and more cost, but to assume that me taking a test is somehow going to fix your woes is ridiculous. Here's the biggest problem that we need to talk about. This is a symptom of a larger systemic issue, okay? Again, the whole idea of a level playing field. That's what we're hearing. And yet we just heard as recently as yesterday that the House Financial Services Committee is going to sit down and they're going to start charging, they're going to have a risk retention policy in place that's going to annihilate the competition for the big banks. What we have with different licensing requirements is a symptom of a larger problem, like we're seeing that's going to be hashed out right now with the House Financial Services Committee, which is going to stack the deck in favor of the big banks, and it's going to come at a cost of the non-depository, smaller community lenders who eat food in the neighborhoods they write loans, who go to the same baseball games, softball games, who are part of the same PTA, the people that are part of the very fabric of every community in this country. We have got right now in Washington an assassination type of process that's hurting them, and this is just yet another example of it. Here's the thing. If we take a step back and look at this, Frank, it's really, should we ask the same of everybody? Should we truly have a level playing field? And the answer is yes. It's very simply yes. Not only in terms of licensing, but everything that's going on in banking right now. And when you have more people, writing loans, and we have more options, it drives down the price and it provides better service. And what you're suggesting right now would limit options and drive up the price, and that is fundamentally wrong.
Okay, well, you took this down a very different path. I'm talking about having to simply register with NMLS compared to having to get federally licensed and state licensed. You took down the road of the retention requirements for
it's the same
small.
thing.
No, it isn't. No, it's not the same thing. I'm talking about the fact that people get all bent out of shape because the banker doesn't have to take the testing, and the non-depository people do have to take the testing. Now, I'm just saying, I get it. I get the fact that the banker doesn't necessarily have to do that because the banker has more control over their salespeople. The banker is going to train their people more regularly. I worked at a bank. I went through their training all the time. They're constantly training their people.
And the worst
and the
loan
Fed's
officer.
Oh no, you are not going to go down the worst loan officers, because I have seen plenty of banking loan officers that will run circles around brokers and run circles around non-depository loan officers.
Okay,
so don't give me that.
All right, no, hold
There's
on.
great loan officers that work for banks.
You
Great loan
said
officers.
when you worked at one of these big banks who drive the stagecoach, you told me how management would come in and say, we're upping the price, we're upping the fee, and this is what you're going to sell, and you're going to be able to do it because you got the stagecoach behind you.
That
and
has nothing to do with how good of a loan officer I am. It has nothing to do with how good of a loan. So internally they have issues with their corporate structure. That doesn't mean they're crappy loan officers that work for banks, which is where you were going with this. You were going to say that the guys that work for the banks aren't as good as the guys that don't, which is bullcrap.
Well, if you have a greed-built structure that's top-heavy, that's going to tell you we're going to raise the fee and raise the cost, and this is what you're going to sell because you've got this behind us. If you're going to have that licensing or no licensing, test or no test, it doesn't make them better. And your argument is founded on the whole idea that you think that they're better because they're a bank and they've got more education.
I'm not saying they're better. I'm not saying they're better. I'm just saying I get the fact that they don't have to do all the testing. I get that. And they just have to register. I get that. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
I say level is level. Let's keep it the same. But really, most importantly, what is it that you think about this? Should licensing requirements for loan officers be the same across the board? Or do the big banks get a pass because they've got more on the line? Let us know down below what you think. Until next time, my friends, we'll see you here on Hash It Out.
Bye.
Hash It Out airs every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time and can be viewed on MortgageNewsNetwork.com. Thanks for watching us here on Mortgage News Network. You know, you could be part of the action here. If you have a product or service for mortgage professionals, you can be a sponsor and have your commercial here on Mortgage News Network. And if you don't have a commercial, that's okay. We have plenty of clever and creative folks behind the camera who can make a commercial for you. For more information, please send an email to info@mortgagenewsnetwork.com. Or for immediate info, please call Beverly Bolnick, our National Sales Manager, at 516-409-5555 extension 4. And she'll tell you how you can be part of the action.
This is Mortgage News Network.